guys, welcome back. So today I'm kind of nervous about this video and I don't know why. I think it's just because I'm gonna be telling you about my first year at college and kind of the bad stuff about it. I don't know. We'll just get into it. So today I'm going to be talking about the hard truths and the hard realities of college. Now, I totally understand that everybody's college experience is totally different. So obviously my experiences are going to be completely different than somebody else's. But these are the hard truths and hard realities that I learned throughout my freshman year in college. And so I wanted to just share this and hope that it'd be helpful to other people. So let's just jump right into it. It was just not a good situation. You cried. It was scary. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the first week as a freshman in college. So that first week is going to be a roller coaster, or at least it was for me. So that first week was the first time that I had really been on my own, was now in a place where I could choose all of my own decisions and figure out who I really wanted to be. And part of me felt like you're just thrown into this as a freshman. You have a new roommate, a new dorm, you have strangers living around you. So this first week was really just up and down of emotions. The first time I've been away from my parents and family. So I think I literally cried at least 2 times per day. And you know what? That's okay. And that's just the reality of it, because it's kind of like a shock. Like I said, new place, figuring out how to live with somebody, which I'll talk about later on. But it was just a really hard week. I go to Thiel University, and for that first week, they really kind of jam-packed it a little bit. They also didn't, and they also did and didn't. So they had a lot of events for us and things to do, just to kind of keep us busy, which was helpful. But also then we had that free time where you could do whatever you wanted, finish setting up your room. But also I remember in that moment being sitting in my room, because I already had everything organized and in a place that I wanted, and being what do I do? Because I didn't know anybody, and I'm also kind of a more shyer person, or I usually let somebody talk before I talk, just because that's just kind of my personality. And so for me personally, being in that situation, I was I'm sitting in my dorm room alone by myself. How the heck am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this college experience? But that was just a really weird moment for me. So the main thing about this first week is that it's gonna be overwhelming. It will be. But it's also super fun. I don't want to make it sound like this college is terrible and awful. It's amazing. But I feel like some people just don't talk about some of the harsh realities of it and how much of a change it really is. So the second thing that I want to talk about is friends. Finding your true friends can be really hard, because for me, all of elementary and high school, I had the same friends. I come from a small community, so that's just how it kind of works. Finding your true friends can be really hard, because for me, all of elementary and high school, I had the same friends. I come from a small community, so that's just how it kind of works. And we were just really super close. And so honestly, when I went to college, I was I don't even know how to make friends. I was how do I even do this? When you come from a small community, you're well, I know everything and everyone. Even if you never even talk to the person, you basically know their full life story. That's just how a small town works. And so going to that new setting of not knowing anybody, nobody's names, nobody's backgrounds, it was scary. And honestly, I kind of had to find the right footing on who I wanted my friends to be, because your friends shape who you are. So the first semester of my freshman year at college, I honestly really didn't have any close friends. And to be honest, that's the reality, because you're not gonna all at once have super close friends. It takes time to like build those relationships. So there probably will be times of loneliness. I had my people and like people I hung out with, but I was really not feeling like I fitted in because like I didn't have those close friends. Also, like, this isn't the same for everybody. Sometimes making friendships is like super quick and super easy for people, but for me it's just kind of harder because like I take longer to build a friendship because I really have a hard time trusting people sometimes because I'm just gonna say it, some girls are just not very nice. They're just not. And so it takes me some time to build up that trust for people. And so that's another thing that probably made it harder for me. I had to learn how to just be open. And you know, I did get hurt. People did hurt me. Another aspect of like finding friends was since I had like the same friends growing up and in high school, we kind of all thought the same way. Going to college, when I found my other friends, we don't exactly all think the same way, which was kind of a speed bump for me because I had to figure out how to navigate on these type of things because that's a different type of communication. But during the second semester, I obviously grew closer to some amazing friends. They're my best friends now. And so basically just what I want to say on this one is that you have to give yourself time. Like the best friends that I have now, we still like have a lot to learn about each other. Like seriously. But that's the thing that is in college, it takes time to sometimes build those relationships because you're starting brand new. You're starting over. And I just want to say that that's completely okay. And if you're in the first semester, like I was, like worrying over it, don't worry about it. Like obviously put yourself out there, but you will make those connections if you put yourself out there. Okay, so enough about talking about that. Let's go on to the next thing. So, for me, I didn't know anybody going into college at Taylor University, so I had a random roommate. So the next topic is random roommates can be terrifying. And honestly, this was something that I was like, I was so nervous about this because I've never had to share a room with anybody because it's just me and my sister, and she's like, we have a big age gap, so like we never had to share a room. So I was really nervous on how I was going to learn how to live with somebody. So my situation was a little unique, I guess you could say. I have no hard feelings against the girl I first roomed with at all, but we had talked in FaceTime one time over the summer before we moved in, and obviously I didn't know much about her at all. Just like the little bit, like when we FaceTime, we just talked about like our hobbies, you know, like first day-to-day basis stuff. So I remember on move-in day, I was like, my heart was like pounding out of my chest. I was so nervous because obviously like you come into college and you're like, oh my gosh, my roommate's gonna be my best friend. Like we're gonna do so much stuff together. At least that's what I thought. And that was not the case. Yeah, so that was hard for me because with a random roommate, you know literally nothing about them, and their lifestyle can be very different than yours. And I do not want to sound like my first roommate was terrible. She was so nice and so bubbly, but our lifestyles just did not match up. And like our rooming situation, it was just not a good situation. She actually ended up like dropping out of college, and so it was just not a good situation, I would say. But that's just how it is, because when you have a roommate, you have to figure out communication, because you're probably sharing some of the same items, because usually you like say, oh, I'll bring the fridge, you bring the TV, or I'll bring this, you bring that. So you're usually sharing items. small quarters, so you're usually gonna be very close to them. There's just a lot of adjustments that you have to make. And for me personally, I saw other people like connecting with their roommates and like becoming best friends with them. And I was like, gosh, why don't I have that? And so honestly, I was jealous of the other people. And so that was just not good because I wanted to be best friends with my roommate, but that just didn't work out. And that's okay because I had my best friend move in and it was perfect. But there's just a lot of things that you have to adjust to that nobody really told me about. The last thing that I have to talk about is when you go to college, you get to find out who you really are. You know, you're in a new place, you have new freedoms, and you get to choose what friends you want. And really, like, when you are finding your friends, you're like, is that the type of person that I want to be? So this was a struggle because along with all of the changes and adjustments that you have in college, and there's just so many things going on and happening at the same time, this can be really hard because like you can get really confused. I remember being like, I don't really know who I am. So this is obviously, I'm still figuring that out every day. But this is a process that kind of probably starts in college because you have all of these freedoms. So can be really hard too. So basically, to wrap that up, I just want to say the reality of college is that it makes you understand who you are because you get that freedom and you get to be alone by yourself to figure that out. That can be scary and it can be frustrating, but it's also kind of amazing. So you just have to take it one step at a time. So the process can be really hard, but it's all really awesome at the same time. So that is all I have for this one. So I'm sorry, I feel like that was heavy and I don't mean for it to be, but it's just kind of how it went. And I just want to be real with you guys, and I just want you guys to understand that my first year of college was not perfect, by all means. It was hard, and it was frustrating, and I cried a lot. But it was also such a growing year for me. So you just have to realize that it's not going to be easy, but it's also going to be pretty freaking awesome. Like, you're going to have some amazing memories. So that's all I have for this video about the harsh realities, but I actually have a part 2 coming of this. So this one was kind of like, you know, a little bit more heavier, but the next one I have is like kind of funny, but you just like some of the types of changes that go through your life in college, kind of the realities of it. So that one's a little more lighthearted, so be on the lookout for that one. But thank you so much for watching this, and I hope like you found this helpful, and that if you are going to college that this was helpful, but also not like a Debbie Downer, because like I don't want it to be, but I also want you to realize some of these things. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye.